But we have to remember in the scripture, there are certain tensions which can sometimes look like a contradiction, and yet they work together. And we have to work through those things. Let me give you an example a little bit. The tension that God is sovereign, that God has the power, the wisdom, and the authority to do anything he chooses with his creation. That's one tension. That's one side of the coin, or the argument, so to speak. But then you have the other side of how does that work with the design that God has given us of free will and allows us to function in that free will. You have kind of those two tensions that in some sense look like they can contradict one another, yet they work together in God's plan and purposes. These tensions of Scripture are sometimes some of the reasons there are different denominations or groups in the Christian community. People with similar ideas or people with similar responses, or look at these questions with a similar answer, tend to group together. That's why the different denominations in some sense. And I would say about some of these things, when we're looking at this, we need to remember God's incredible mind is infinitely greater than our mind. And we may have or receive some understanding, but there are so many facets to the things of God. I would also say God does things so that we have to function or receive them in faith. And while we strive to learn or understand the things of God, we also need to recognize that these things are not necessarily going to be accepted or understood in the human mind or with the human capacity, but must be received by faith and just simply trusting the Lord in what he says. The other side of this, when we get down to talking about denominations and so forth, there is a need for patience, love, and grace with one another when we disagree. And there needs to be a patience, love, and grace with one another, because sometimes there are things that God is working in our lives and we're just not there yet.